Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutt with HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for June 1st, 2019. The first day of the Atlantic hurricane season officially has begun, and it's time for the Hurricane Outlook and discussion as we begin 183 days, roughly 6 months, right, of watching the tropics and seeing what happens. Last year, very destructive. The year before that, and even the year before that, we're on this 3-year cycle, it seems, starting with really Hermine and Matthew in 2016, going all the way up through devastating Category 5 Hurricane Michael at the end of last year's hurricane season, at least for the landfalls in the panhandle of Florida, and then indeed much of the southeast. Michael was not just a Florida problem, remember that. And here we are again. So, let's start off with just a little bit of climatology here. The first 10 days of the hurricane season, June 1st through the 10th. I guess that's 11 days if you include all of them, but you get the idea. This is the points of origin map through 2015. They need to update this and add a few more years there, but that's okay. It gives you an idea, and it shows you that out here in the deep tropics, it's a big blank. There's nothing out here this time of year. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, but it hasn't happened, at least in this time frame. Most of the activity, I guess you could even say all of the activity, is way over here in the western part of the Atlantic Basin or the southeastern Pacific. If we're talking about this part of the Western Hemisphere as a whole, this is where we would look for this time of year. And as conditions gradually improve, and we go through these different points of origin maps that I'll show throughout the season as we go through these windows of opportunity here for things to develop, you'll see that these red dots become more and more widespread. Those are the tracks that they took, the little squiggly lines. And a couple things stick out pretty obvious. Most of the tracks of the eastern Pacific storms are generally this way. Most of the tracks of Northwest Caribbean, Gulf, Southwest Atlantic storms, fairly, uniform, that's the word I'm looking for, that they generally go north to northeast with time. Some of them meander over into the Gulf before turning north, but generally speaking, that's the track that we will see this time of year from most systems that develop. So here we are, the source, Windows 10 talking to me from behind me. The source of all of our information here, at least what I use to start with, is the National Hurricane Center. And, why not? It's the part of the largest crowd-funded weather subscription program in the world, and that's from your tax dollars. A little bit of humor there. And it's free. You pay for it with your taxes, at least everybody that pays taxes. And so utilize it. I know I do. And so this is the resource that we'll go to along with other university sites from time to time. University of Wisconsin comes to mind, and then a few private websites from some folks that are just incredibly intelligent. Levi Cowan is one of those at Tropical Tidbits. Eric Webb, Ben Knoll. You'll hear me talk about these guys, all right? There's lots more that we'll go through. University of Oklahoma, NC State, you'll see. Just kind of a little intro here. So we start off with the Hurricane Center, and lo and behold, right here on the first day of the season, we do have something to watch. Invest area 91L down in the Bay of Campeche. Now, what does that mean? Real quick, an invest is just a short way of saying an area of investigation. The 91 part is based on this numbering system that they have, 90 through 99, so it gets assigned the next number. 90L already happened. We had Andrea that formed out of that. It's the first step in investigating a system further. You see on a satellite picture, we'll go over to this one, an area of disturbed weather, and so the Hurricane Center says, okay, that's now organized enough, it's got our attention enough, it gets the next number on the investigation list, the area of investigation, 90, 91, 92, all the way to 99, and this happens to be 91. The L stands for Atlantic. It's actually Invest 91 or AL91 Anyway, we just shorten it as weather geeks to 91L. That's what that means. If it was in the Eastern Pacific, it gets the number in the Eastern Pacific, 90 through 99, separate from the Atlantic Basin, but E, or EP for Eastern Pacific, W for Western Pacific, so forth and so on. All right, so that's why we do that. 91L down here in the Bay of Campeche, or Campeche, whatever. And this is what it looks like on the graphical tropical weather outlook with the satellite overlay. 40% chance of further development over the next 48 hours. 50-50 over the next 5 days. What is it? Well, it's a broad area of low pressure, and it is sitting over that fairly warm water of the Bay of Campeche, moving generally west to west-northwest, a typical track, slow mover, not very large, not very organized. And if it remains over the water, then a tropical depression could form before it moves inland this way early next week. So the deal is we do have fairly strong high pressure that's been in place up here, blocking something from developing out of this Central American gyre, this general broad turning in the atmosphere that we've seen down here, this energy that's trying to get itself together because of this huge ridge that we've had over the southeast that have made temperatures way unseasonably hot for the Carolinas, the Florida Panhandle, elsewhere. Wildfires all up in parts of Florida I've been reading about. That blocks these systems from coming. There's the printer starting to print for no apparent reason. I think ghosts have taken over the office. It's time to move. And it's distracting. Anyway, that's why this isn't coming more to the north. Okay, that's the easy explanation, the simple explanation. You have high pressure generally sitting up here, and this area of lower pressure down here is blocked by that high pressure, and it just can't come to the north. Now, things change over time. We will start to build more of a trough in this area. I'll show you that in a moment. So there's a chance that this will come west and then maybe try to come more to the north. We just have to wait and see about that. These slow movers are hard to predict. All right, so keep that in mind. Okay, so real quick, a broad look at the Atlantic Basin this first day of hurricane season. Intertropical convergence zone down here, where the trades meet from the northern and southern hemispheres. Strong upper level winds cutting across portions of the eastern Caribbean, and you can see also fairly stable air. How do you see the stable air from a satellite picture? Well, all of this low cumulus cloud deck that we see all through here shows me a stable air mass. That's what it indicates to me. Very stable air. There's no convection, no thunderstorms developing. But we do have that over here, and that's associated with our system. This is the trough that's coming off the frontal system that gave us all the hail, big-time hail in parts of central North Carolina, tornado threats, etc. Thunderstorms. We finally had some rain yesterday after more than 2 weeks of dryness and, Albuquerque-like conditions. I guess it gets pretty hot in Albuquerque, New Mexico, but it was dry, and my yard started sounding like I was walking around on cornflakes. But that pushed through. That's what convection looks like. There you go. There's some there. There's some there. Yeah, maybe a little convective activity in here. This, though, no. That's stable air. Too early in the season to look that far to the east for development. All right, so here is a great example. You can see this large general rotating area of weather, of clouds. The wind is coming in here at the lower levels from the southeast over on the eastern side. Probably some westerly winds generally at 5,000 feet on the west side. But it's very broad. All that energy is still spread out and not concentrating quickly, which is good for obvious reasons. But does it ever get to that point where it does consolidate? And that's what we have to wait and see. One of the tools that I'll use, and this again is from the University of Wisconsin site, is the vorticity, or the energy in the atmosphere, spin in the atmosphere, and you can see through those clouds. And like I like to say, it's kind of like an X-ray, even though it's not an X-ray, it's just kind of like an X-ray. That's my analogy. And we see the structure, like you can see bones or other masses Some of them are kind of scary when you look through the human body, right? You try to detect cancers and other growths, problems that grow on your organs, and you can do that using x-rays and other advanced imaging products from the medical field. Well, the same thing is true in meteorology, that you can use technology from satellites to look through the clouds and see structure, see things that help you understand how well organized a system is. And in this case, there's the energy, some of it still in the Pacific, and it's broad and spread out. You can see all this yellow and orange coloring in here is amorphous, right? It is not circular and concentrated. Here's a larger area of energy off of the Carolina coast. This is the energy that came through. If we looked at this yesterday afternoon, this would have been moving across the Carolinas and southeast Virginia, and that's what triggered all that weather that we had, some of it quite spectacular. Down in the tropics, when this energy bundles and becomes more circular, then we know that a system is trying to organize. So let's watch this again tomorrow. I'll be doing these updates pretty much every day now throughout the hurricane season. And let's see if this changes from, you know what, let me see if I can zoom in on this. I think I can. Yes. Let's see how this changes over time from linear, you know, it's elongated, that's a good way to put it, to more circular. And if it does, that's a clue that it's starting to get organized. All right, water temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, the Bay of Campeche, not a limiting factor. All the water temperature areas, or all of the areas, have water temperatures above 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and higher than that in a lot of areas. So that's not a problem in terms of impeding this from developing. This is important because this map are the surface temperatures. This shows us the skin of the Gulf of Mexico at the surface, okay? This is the actual heat content in the water. So not only do you need 80 degrees Fahrenheit at the surface, roughly, but that water should extend deeper down, more than just a few feet. And the deeper that ocean water is, 80 degrees or higher, what we call the 80 degree or the 26 Celsius isotherm, how deep does that 80 degree or 26 Celsius extend? The deeper that is, where you have warmer water deeper down, the more upper ocean heat content there is to tap into. And this map of the basin here shows us very clearly. So anything that's outlined here that I'm coloring over with the black color is generally warm enough to support development. And this is all about the physics and how much energy in, I think it's joules per kilogram. It goes beyond my ability to explain it properly. So I just boil it down and say the higher up on the scale you go, the more upper ocean heat content is available. So you can see that the highest concentration is in the Caribbean Sea, and specifically the Northwest Caribbean Sea over here. How about the Gulf of Mexico and the Bay of Campeche? Well, let's zoom into that, and we can see, by the way, this comes from the NOAA AOML lab down in Key Biscayne near Miami. They produced this map, the Hurricane Research Division. All right, so I think it's the Atlantic Oceanographic and Meteorological Laboratory, AOML. So we zoom in and we can see the Bay of Campeche does have, let's get a better color, yellow, does have a little bit of this upper ocean heat content in here, down at the bottom of the scale. So that means it's fairly limited. When we look at this over the coming weeks, watch how this expands and we get much more of the sea green and yellow will start to fill in all through here as the Gulf gets warmer and warmer. So the bottom line, water temperature is not a limiting factor for the system 91L. Real quick, a look at water temperatures off of the mid-Atlantic and southeast coast. All, for the most part, Pamlico Sound, go back to black over here, or, yeah, there it is. Pamlico Sound, warm enough. Neuse River, Pamlico River, all the way down, New Bern, Washington, Jacksonville, the New River there, water temperature is probably 80, 81 degrees if you want to go in the freshwater. the brackish water, whatever. Right along the beaches, though, water temperature is about 78, 79 Fahrenheit in New Hanover County, up through Pender and Onslow, down into Brunswick County, Myrtle Beach, down into Horry County and beyond. Yeah, basically 80 Fahrenheit, okay? So it's time to hit the water and enjoy it. Even Mark here, who does not like cold water at all, that's warm enough for me. I'll take it. So we'll watch this as well over the coming months. And you can see the loop current, the Gulf Stream, that's what I was trying to say, snaking its way up. The little cold eddy right there. Cold eddy, hanging out. Cold eddy. I bet somebody has a license plate that says Cold Eddy, if you could fit all those characters. All right, so what is going to happen with 91L? So here we'll use the INCEP site, National Centers for Environmental Prediction, the GFS, and this is what we're looking at right here. So let me just take a moment. That's the beauty of these videos, is I can spend, at the risk of sounding boring, you got to be careful, there's a balance there. I want to educate you and show you what I look at. It doesn't mean that this is the way or the right way. It's my way. All right? So that being said, what do I look at? What do I look at, and what am I looking at? So let's scoot this down a little bit. It'll help. This, first of all, is the 5,000-foot chart of the global forecast system. And we're looking at vorticity, the spin in the atmosphere. And you can see these wind barbs and the height lines, etc. For our purposes, what are we looking for? All right, follow these wind barbs in here. They're westerly, and then they curl around from the southeast over here, and you can just start to draw this out, and you get this idea of broad rotation. I tried to draw it in there. You see that? I'll use yellow to make it a little less intrusive. So you can follow this in, and there's your energy trying to concentrate over Central America. Well, that's an inhibitor. If this was happening over here, over the Western Caribbean, out over the warm water, wholly out over the water, W-H-O-L-E, right? Wholly over the whatever. You get the idea. If it was all out over the water, this would have a much better chance of developing quicker. Well, it's not. It's kind of tangled up over land. So this is what we're going to watch over the next few days as I put this into motion. All right, so keep your eyes on this system right here. All right, here we go, and we'll hit the start button. As we go through time, you notice it tries to get its act together with a little bit more energy right there in the southern Bay of Campeche, skirting the coast there. Not very impressive, but enough organization, at least that I see, that this just might make it to a tropical depression, maybe even a weak tropical storm wind-wise, before the pattern changes and you dig in this trough at the end of the period. You can see right now, let's just stop this for a second. Go back to the beginning, first one. And again, the reason that this energy is trapped down here, a little bit of troughiness came in and eroded the ridge to the north, but otherwise this high pressure area extends, mid-level ridging all the way from the Atlantic across the Gulf, and this acts like a hand holding the system down. All right, so it's kept down here in Central America. But as we move through the pattern here, it changes. All right, I'm going through every hour. This is 24 hours out right there from this morning's run, by the way. So in 24 hours, you still have this high pressure area in the atmosphere acting as a cap, if you will, blocking this from coming north, a different kind of cap than storm chasers talk about. A lid is a better way to put it. And then there's your system right there at 48 hours. So now let's keep moving through to, that was 24. Let's go to 48. All right. And by the way, not all of these discussions will be this in-depth. Just starting off the season right, being very thorough. 48 hours out, this is what we have. And the high pressure kind of retreats a little bit more this way. The height's lower just a little bit. It eases off the gas a little bit, if you will, so that the system can start to gain some latitude. It drifts more to the north. A little bit better organized, but that's kind of a stretch at the 48-hour mark. Finally, if we're going out to 72 hours, right there. Just a little bit of a remnant area of the high pressure, but look, it has slid more to the east now over Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and the heights over here are a little lower. And the system, well, just look at the wind barbs. That's the easiest thing. They are now coming from the south-southeast up towards the north-northwest and eventually south to north. So the bottom line is this moisture should get what we call advected or moved in the horizontal northward. Follow those wind barbs. Look at that. It all starts to come north towards the lower Rio Grande Valley. And that's the bottom line here. All that talk, and that's the bottom line, but I wanted to explain it. And you also see the energy is generally spread out, different lobes of it, a lot of deep moisture. So that tells me big rain event possible for portions of the lower Rio Grande Valley and northern Mexico, eastern Mexico, into Texas. So that's something we definitely need to watch going forward. Tomorrow, I won't be as detailed about it. We'll just take a general look at it, and then we'll also start looking at Weather Prediction Center quantitative precipitation forecasts to see how much rain could be coming from this system. That's the story of 91L and how it'll evolve. So we'll see what happens. Now, if it moves more to the east, just real quick, if it doesn't get out or get inland and it skirts the coast, it could be a different story. I'm not thinking a hurricane or anything, but you never, ever say never. I think Michael is the final word on that. Last year, most people thought it was going to be a sheared, late-season mess. Even professional organizations, private and public, and 70 miles per hour was the first forecast for landfall, and they missed it by almost 100 miles per hour. That's all I'm going to say about that. It happens, okay? So, this is different, but you never say never. All right, real quick, I am going to be utilizing our crowdfunding source for funding, of course. Money is what makes the world go round, but also as a tool. This is amazing. Patreon is it's perfect because it allows me to not only build this community of supporters from as little as $1 a month to as much as $25 or $100 a month for those who can do that. Eventually, I want to have a meeting in the middle where the monthly patron rate is about $10 a month, but we have maybe 500 to 800 patrons. That's the goal. To get there, though, we do have a larger spread from about $1 up to $100 a month. A couple people even do more than that, and we're making progress. What is it? Well, it's a way to subscribe to a service, if you will, to support a creator, which is me, financially, which we need, but I can use the tools that it gives us to do what I do on social media and WordPress and blogging, but it's just for the supporters first. That's not completely locked down where I'm not going to share information with everybody, but those who are supporting it, it's just like when you pay, $15 and go see an IMAX movie, you get access to something pretty incredible because you paid that $15 or in some cases $20, right? And then you can wait and catch it on Netflix or, when you used to watch stuff on broadcast TV and it eventually showed up on ABC's, Thursday night movie, you get the idea. I'm always going to put stuff out there for the public. That's my first goal, is to serve the public. But it is my responsibility from a fiscal point of view to fund this. And this gives me a way to say, please help fund what we're doing, and it gives me tools to serve you and let me express myself creatively and put my talent to use through these video updates, through these posts that I get to do here that very much resemble what you would see on Twitter. People can comment and interact. I mean, are you kidding me? This is perfect. I can post exclusive video content and even unlisted. You get the idea, though. It's amazing. It really is. And there's different tiers to choose from, and you can become a patron. And I'm going to be using this more and more and more. So our current patrons, let me just remind you, please make sure you have the app, either Android or iOS, and that you set your push notifications or your email notifications to alert you, because I'm going to be posting to this more and more this year than ever before. It's a fantastic tool, and by golly, we're going to take advantage of it. All right. Also, finally, the day has come. All right, let me just talk about this for a moment, and then we will sign off for the day. The Tracking the Hurricanes 2018 documentary is officially out. That being said, let me back up for a second. We debuted it on the big screen in Wilmington, North Carolina, Thursday night. We had about 40, maybe 45 people come out, which I thought was great. I did not promote it a lot, especially in the media, because I was worried that 200 people would come out and I'd have to turn people away, and that would really disappoint me. So I'd rather have 40 or 50 people that heard about it on social media. One of our followers and good friend of mine talked about it on the radio that morning, but it was a great group, a nice intimate group of people, and boy, to see it on one of the largest movie theater screens in Wilmington with that sound, those who saw it, they'll tell you, especially Hurricane Michael and the Mexico Beach sequence, unbelievable. It felt like you were there in more ways than one. So that was great. I really appreciate it. The law firm, the Boggs Law Group out of St. Petersburg, was a sponsor to help make this possible. They are also one of the co-producers of the entire project, as well as Anthony and his donation to help out with some of the fees involved and other expenses, and Joe. Crowdfunding, people. You need something done, you go to the people. You say, look, can you help out with this? And they did. We're also going to be showing it in Tallahassee on June 12th. Again, supported by the Boggs Law Group, St. Petersburg. They are policy advocates for policyholders. In other words, your insurance company denies you, and you think you have a legitimate claim for Michael or Florence or whatever, and you get a group like the Boggs Law Group, and they help represent you. And if you have a case, usually it's wind versus surge or wind versus water. And some of the evidence from Michael was very compelling. We'll just say that. And it helped to change some people's lives. And I was very proud to be a part of that. It was very positive. So we're going to show this free in Tallahassee, Wednesday, June 12th, at the Regal Theater. I think there's just one in Tallahassee. I'll talk about it more and more, and yes, I will have it in the media there. I think the theater holds 105 people or something like that. So June 12th, 7 o'clock, we'll talk about it a lot more. If you want to own your own digital copy, I don't think I'm going to make a DVD unless somebody absolutely wants to have one. If you do, email me, and I'll arrange that. So it's going to be on Amazon Video, but they haven't published it yet, and it's just killing me. I keep checking, is it done, is it done? It's like waiting for an app to get through the App Store scrutiny, and then they publish your app. Google, Android, I don't think does that. But anyway, Amazon, they review everything, and you got to be careful. I get it. And they say 2 to 4 business days, and I had it on there Monday, and I know Monday was Memorial Day, but it's like, come on, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it should have been out yesterday. But it's not. So I also know that not everybody has access to Amazon or what have you, and we do have almost 18,000 subscribers on YouTube, so I have made it available on YouTube through PayPal. So if you go, let me just zoom into this page. No, it's not going to let me, is it? Yeah, okay, here we go. If you go to HurricaneTrack.com/2018, real easy, HurricaneTrack.com/2018, then there's this PayPal button down here, and it is, what did I set it at, $14.99 or something like that? Yeah, it's $14.99, and I got to pay the fees to PayPal, right? And Amazon keeps half, just so you know, but just saying. And it's yours. I will send you the link myself, and you can share it with friends or family. Don't put it on social media or elsewhere, and I'll monitor the view count. And if it starts going up faster than I'm selling these, I'll delete it and we'll start over again. That's the easy part. And I'll do that if I have to. I want to protect it. It is an incredible story. And I want people to be able to own it. I want it to help with future funding. And I think $14.99 for something like this is very reasonable, and it's yours forever in the cloud. And there's no commercials. There's no, I don't want to call them annoying because ad revenue supports some of these creators, but there's no ads. It's 100% commercial and ad free. And I mean that. There's no little Google ad at the bottom. There's nothing. And it's in 1080. That's the other thing. It's in high definition. So there you go. HurricaneTrack.com/2018. And I will send you the link myself. Literally, I will literally send you an email myself. It's not like 1,000 people are going to order this. I mean, that'd be great. So I can keep up with the emails as they come in. Trust me on that. And if I can't, that's a good thing. And maybe we can replace that Tahoe finally. You just never know, especially if this goes crazy and people really, really like it and talk about it. As soon as the Amazon version gets out there, believe me, I will let you know. It'll be available to rent and own on Amazon. I don't have a way to rent it on YouTube to you. Here's the link. It'll be good for 48 hours, then I'll delete it. Nope, doesn't work that way. All right. To email me, it's Hurmark, HURRMARK, @gmail.com. Right there. First day of the hurricane season, we went over a lot. Again, they're not all going to be a half hour, whatever this was. In fact, some of them are going to be like 3 minutes, especially when there's African dust covering the Atlantic and the season cancel, Twitter, and message board hashtags are out there, blah, blah, blah. You know what's coming. Happens every season. And then by the end of August, boom, stuff will really start to light up, I do believe. Until then, there'll always be something to talk about. Thanks for tuning in from your side of the screen. I do appreciate it. If you're not already a subscriber of the YouTube channel, Hurricane Track, do so today. Enable notifications, as they say, and you'll get notified when I post another video. For our Patreon folks, you get it first. So you saw this first, and then about 15 minutes later, I publish it to the rest of the world. And to all of you out there, again, I appreciate it. It's great to have you along. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com, my website, and the whole Hurricane Track brand. I'll talk to you some more tomorrow.